Yeah. My idea is to share with you a little bit and then stop, have an experience. If there are any questions, we can answer them. You can do the questions on the chat. But basically, I'll share a bit, experience a bit, and then if there are any questions, I'll do that about 4 or 5 times during the hour, giving more preference, of course, to the yoga experience. Now, if we think about it, the best and the real tests that happen are those that come suddenly when we're not prepared, because that will show us really what our stage is. That if you know something's going to happen, you'll prepare for it. But if you don't, the only thing that you can count on is whatever spiritual strength and understanding you have accumulated. And we do live in the times of suddenly anything can happen to anyone, anywhere, anytime. And that's the nature of chaos, actually. Anything can happen. And that's exactly what's going on at the moment. All of our plans, for example, have disintegrated in a way. We've had to adapt hugely to the COVID situation. I don't know how it is in Asia, but Brazil's twice the number of deaths as there are in India. So India is so bad, you can imagine how it is here. It's only loses to the USA, Brazil. So it's very, very grave. And we were in Madhaban last year and we heard about this virus that came up actually out of Asia. So a gift from Asia to the world in a way to make us become ever ready. But we live in times of suddenly anything can happen. And I was enjoying Sister Genti's class before we came on. Before I came on, and this idea of having love for all, and practice going home. I mean, having love for all is such a huge thing that we have to take on board. But that's the way that I can be ready. If I have love, I'll be ready. And that's why Baba says the loving intellect at the time of distraction. I was remembering an example of something suddenly. I was in Madhaban, and this was in 2007, and Vishwaratan Dada suddenly left the body. I mean, he wasn't so ill that, suddenly he just left the body. And Baba said, just to know, this was in February, so we were there in Madhaban. He paid good attention to maintaining the incorporeal stage. And this is why his part finished quickly in a second. Everyone at present thinks that there's still some time left. I'm quoting from the Baba's Muli here. But there should not be any longer this wave to think that there's some time left. You should remain ever ready, because there also has to be attention over a long period of time. So don't think that you have enough time. And this thing of being quickly ready, of course, is to practice and practice and practice, going beyond, coming back, as Gentibem was saying, going beyond, coming back, keeping this, our original form, just assuming, taking on board our original form, and then just coming back and being ready. So as things are going on in the Lokic world, in the physical world, we have to keep on doing things as we should. But internally, I have to be ready for anything, whatever it is, any news, any situation. We're living in times where we can't be careless. This that Baba said in 2007, to people think that there's still some time left and we shouldn't have that wave any longer. if you think about it now, it's 14 years later. It's much, much, much more impressive, this situation that we're going through. So let's just practice for a little bit, becoming the soul, becoming what we are. So as you're all sitting nicely and very nobly on your seats or on the floor maybe, just become conscious of the moment and conscious that there are two worlds. There's an external world where things are happening that you can see, touch, hear, feel. But there's also the inner world. So become very clear of these two worlds. And I'm this inner being observing this physical world. I'm the soul. And just as I'm seated on the seat where I am, I'm also seated on my seat of command, behind the eyebrows, a few centimeters back. So just feel the sense of sovereignty, the sense of command that you have sitting on your spiritual seat between the brows. Sit there. Now, on the screen of the mind, invoke Baba's presence. Try to feel yourself, first of all, in front of Avyak Bapdada. Baba wants me to become incorporeal. Brahma Baba also wants me to become incorporeal, to have this experience. So I take the encouragement from the subtle form and I just go even beyond. Shiv Baba calls me to the incorporeal world, which is my home. And the thoughts become experiences. Free, beyond, peace, power. So on my way back to the physical world, I stop again in the subtle regions. I take drishti from Bapdada subtly. I don't have to see anything. I need to experience it. Meditation is much more about feeling than thinking. So Baba is happy. And I come back now to the physical world full of that special power that Baba's given me to love, actually, to love everyone, to love everything, to be detached. Now that's the sort of, if you've got any questions during this session, you can put them in the chat, and I mean, we can interrupt at any time also, I don't mind. But do this through the chat, and I'll ask who's monitoring the chat. Can I ask? Hello.
Om Shanti, Hanbai, I will read out if there is any chat. I will read out to you.
Okay.
I'll be monitoring it.
Okay, bye. So at the moment, there's nothing, right?
Yeah, none.
Yeah, because people have just come back, and that's the last thing that they want to do is to type on their computer something. But anyway, as we go on, we can go deeper into this. Now, there's something else that I was looking at too. Of course, I need to practice the bodiless experience, and that means to be bodiless here. Not, of course, in the soul world we are bodiless. In the subtle world we are without our physical body, but we're still subtly in a subtle sort of form. But the big effort is to be bodiless here, to have the experience that I'm different from the body. And I remembered, I tried to find it, and actually I ended up finding it, a Murli from 1980, the 6th of February. And again, I was there in Madhuban. And Baba asked, why is it an effort? There was a sort of a chit-chat going on in the subtle regions, right, between Bap and Dada. And we love those chit-chats. And Shiv Baba asks, why is it an effort for bodiless souls to become bodiless? For Shiv Baba, we are already bodiless. And forever we are bodiless. We are a bodiless soul. But at the moment, I have a body that I have to use. And then the Father Brahma said in this chit-chat, because the children have been putting on costumes and playing their different parts for 84 births, they've become bodily beings. So Brahma Baba is trying to explain to Shiv Baba how come a bodiless soul has difficulty in becoming bodiless, because of 84 births. So Father Shiva said, yes, they have been playing their parts, but what is the time now? Shiv Baba asked. You automatically perform actions according to your awareness of the time. You have this practice, don't you? But Baba wants us to have this awareness that I am the soul and I have these 84 births, but I'm different from all those births. And there was a silence retreat in Peace Village, and we were sitting in a circle. There were about 80 of us. Well, just imagine the 84. I imagined that we were 84, but there were 80. And in the middle of the circle, there was a beautiful arrangement of flowers. And we were sitting there. We would meet there every afternoon in silence. We'd come and sit down in a circle and just meditate, and then go off and do our homework, and then come back again. So it was a beautiful retreat. Very little. It was like, and that's such a beautiful place too. So I was sitting there looking at this arrangement of flowers and looking at all of the 80 souls in their bodies sitting around. And I had this idea, wait a minute, what if I were the arrangement of flowers and I was looking at all of the 80? And I had this insight that I am the soul. And if I was in the center of a circle, surrounded by all of my 84 births that Papa was talking about, and actually Brahma Baba gave that as an excuse for us, because we've been putting on these costumes 84 times. That's why we become bodily beings. But I had this feeling, let me sit in the center and look at this gallery of my births and be absolutely certain that I'm as different from this particular body, this one here, and the previous one, and the previous one, and the previous one, and the previous one, all of the bodies, including this one, I'm not any of them. And of course, there were feminine bodies, there were masculine, there were male bodies, there were female bodies. And Baba said we've spent half and half, basically. So how many professions, Baba asked the other day, how many different roles? So let's have an experience on that. Let's try to imagine this. I'm the bodiless soul. And this is Baba says, this is the main practice that we have to have if we want to become ever ready for anything that suddenly happens. And so let's again sit nicely. Again, aware of the two worlds, the external physical world and the internal world of the soul with itself. Of course, I can't visualize my previous faces, but I know that there are previous faces. Some beautiful, some not so beautiful. Some male, some female. But I imagine myself in the center of a circle, surrounded by all of my 84 births. If I could see the gallery, if I could see the film of all of those births, it would be so entertaining. But it still would be a film. I can imagine my deity form, for example. Just imagine yourself with a deity face, deity hairstyle, such light and sweetness in the eyes and the smile. Then I did that for 20 births. 8 in the golden age, 12 in the silver age. So there were 20 such faces, but all smiling and sweet. Probably not so different one from the other, except male and female differences. Then suddenly in the copper age, and my face is not so bright anymore. I have the face of a searcher. I have the face of a devotee looking for answers, perplexed, not understanding why things don't work, looking for the answers. But then at the same time, I'm coming down, and sorrow starts to come into my face as the vices take hold and the interests connect with the vices. You can see very clearly, and the bodies don't last as long as they used to. And I go through one and then another, and as Baba says, it's like changing clothes. I change one, then I change another, and then I change this, I change that. And finally, I come to the birth in this body, previous to Gyan, In this same body, I have actually two births. This physical birth and my spiritual birth in Gyan. But I am the soul that went through all of that. And I'm as different from this particular form as I am from the previous one and the previous one and the previous one. I am a bodiless soul. And the rest is a big film. So just stay in that thought. Actually, easy in this state to sit by Baba's side. And I'm sitting by Baba's side looking at this film. How many parents, how many children, how many jobs, and I'm not any of them. So just enjoy that understanding and detachment, or sort of a detached understanding of things. Enjoy it, because that is true, that is real. Okay, let's come back to the normal circumstances here, and we'll go on to some other topic. Again, if you've got anything to ask, you can put them in the chat, and I'll check with our brother.
Brother Ken, there are some questions already.
Okay, let's go.
Okay, basically most of them about the...
We'll deal with the questions as they come up, like 2 or 3 at least now, and then we'll go on to the next bit. Okay?
Okay. So one of that is that what's the difference between Sato Pradhan and Sato Guni? And the rest of it is about bodiless stage. So how do I know I'm into this bodiless stage? During that period, can I still feel or know my physical body? And then most of them, they are like that, you know, I find it difficult to practice bodiless stage in action. So please explain the methods. And so basically most of them on bodiless stage actually.
Okay. I think I'll do another experience before we finish and go deeper into the experience, because you'll understand better by the experience than by any words that I say. But the whole thing is that I am the soul. I am not the body. And this is like the first lesson of the course. Number one lesson. And when I meditate, it's I, the soul, am meditating. It's not the body that meditates. It's not the bodily identity that meditates. Let's say Murli Bai is trying to meditate. But if he's in the consciousness of me, Murli Bai, how, with all of the things that I go through and my job and my connections, the center and all of that, if I keep that in mind, I won't be able to meditate. I have to reduce myself to what I really am. And that's why Baba in the Murli is saying, how can it be an effort for a bodiless soul to become bodiless? A fantastic question from Baba. The main thing is that I stay in the consciousness of the me that meditates is the soul. The me that meditates is not John or Mary or Morley or Lechu or Miraben or Krish. The me that meditates is the soul. So I have to get that clear. It's like the first lesson, number one lesson. And if I don't go through that step and I don't practice it and practice it and practice it, I won't get it right, because I can't get to Baba unless I am a bodiless soul. There's no connection actually between my bodily identity and God. There's no connection, zero. So when I say, oh, God, help me, which me? And if I really, of course, that's the bodily me that needs the help, because the spiritual me doesn't need help. I don't have to make efforts to become a soul. I don't have to make efforts to become peaceful, because I am peaceful. What I have to do is to make effort to remove all of the wrong thinking that prevents me from feeling and experiencing that. So if I'm caught up in my, there are three things that I need to get detached from in order to become bodiless. And this is, the first is to become detached from the body itself. I'm the soul, not the body. The second thing is more difficult, to become detached from the roles that I have, because the roles are quite absorbing. The role of mother or father, or the role of some professional somewhere, even the role in the center. There's something called BK, body consciousness, right? It's just that I put BK in front of all of the things that the ego used to do. So I'm the actor. I'm not any role, in Gyan. I'm not any role in the Brahma Kumaris. I'm not any role in in the Lokic world. I am the actor playing these different roles. So I need to separate from that as well. So detachment is firstly from the body, which is relatively easy. I have to practice when I'm walking, for example. I have to practice that I'm driving this car. I'm moving the body from this place to the other. As Baba says so many times in the Sakamo, is I am the soul, I study. The soul studies, the soul listens, the soul does everything through the body. But I have to practice that, like getting up and going to the door, going to the bathroom, making a cup of tea. I'm the soul moving the body around. I have to practice it, not just fall into the usual way that I use my body. That's the first thing. If I want to become ready, that's the very first, ever ready, that's the first thing that I have to get very clear. I am the soul, not the body. The soul is indestructible. Even pain will be felt in the body, but not necessarily in the soul. I can make it diminished. But if I believe that I'm the body, I am the pain also. It's not easy. But this is the sort of thing this is why Brahma Baba used to write 100 times. I'm a soul, I'm a soul, I'm a soul. Yashoda, his wife, is a soul, she's a soul, and so on. Second, I'm the actor. I have many roles. In service and in my Lokic world, I have many roles, but I am the actor. And I have to practice there too. I am the soul practicing this role. And therefore I could administer it better. And thirdly, I am not my story. All of the things that I carry in my head about, I did this, I did that, I went through this, my family, my mum, my dad, this, that, I grew up, my study, I am not my curriculum. I'm not what I've done. I'm not what I've become even. I'm what I am. So it's more difficult to be detached from that whole story, but also have to be detached from the story, because I am the one. It's not just a story, it's a story that repeats every cycle too. So I have a story, I'm not a story. I have a role, I'm not a role. I have a body, I'm not a body. I have to drum these things into myself. So we can do that. Let's stop and go into that a little bit. Again, the three things that I need to become detached from. Let's practice it. I'm sitting here. I'm feeling the floor beneath my feet. I'm feeling the chair that I'm sitting on. I can feel my back on the chair. I've got my eyes open, so I'm aware of the shapes and the forms. I can hear certain sounds. I am using the body to see. It's the same me that sees, the same me that feels the physical things around me, feels my feet. I can feel my feet. I can feel my hands. I can feel my breathing coming in and out. But my presence in this body gives it life. If I were not here, it would be dead. And you imagine how powerful the soul is. Just think about it. To give life to all of the cells, the trillions and trillions of cells, 40, 50 trillion cells. If I were not here, each of those cells may last a little longer than, because the cell takes a little bit longer to die. If you cut the hand of someone who just died and look at the blood, it's still moving around. But little by little, there's no life force, so it just extinguishes. So my presence in the body gives life to all of those trillions of cells and gives life to all of the things that I do through the body. But I am the soul. I am the one listening. I'm the one feeling my fingers. I'm the one feeling my toes. I'm feeling my seat. I am the soul looking at things through the eyes. And it's the same one, me. I listen, I see, I feel through the body. I use my mouth to speak and also to eat. I feed the body, not the soul, with the food, right? The food will go into the stomach, but not into the soul. So I need to practice this. Just as we're sitting here now, I am the soul. I have this body. Now the roles. Imagine yourself, okay, sitting in the middle of lots of things happening around you. And if you can, visualize your 3 or 4 main roles. There's your role in your Logic family, your parents, if they're still alive, your brothers and sisters, if they're still around, if you have any, your husband or wife, your children, maybe grandchildren. So you're in the seat. Can you imagine a family portrait with all of these different generations of the family that you're part of? And you can see them all. So I am looking at those roles. Towards my parents, I'm the son. Towards my children, I'm the father or the mother. Towards my brothers and sisters, I'm a brother or a sister, and so on. Then you've got your professional work. What is it? What do you work at? You can see colleagues, you can see maybe boss, you can see different, if you have patients or clients or whatever, if you work from home, you can see their faces on Zoom. You look at your professional role, the work itself. What's your job? That's temporary. All of that is temporary. All of those arrangements are temporary. As Genti Ben was saying, we are avatars. We've incarnated. My real job is to reveal Baba. So detached, I'm looking at my family roles. Detached, I'm looking at my professional roles. Maybe I have some community role also. Maybe I'm part of some association, professional association. So all of the different things and the different scenes, I'm sitting there as a completely detached observer, knowing that I am the one that gives life to all of those things. And if I move away suddenly, all of those roles have no meaning anymore. So I'm not stuck in them. Baba says, use those things as loose-fitting clothes that you can take off when you need to. So I am the soul. I'm the actor, not the role. I'm the soul. I use the body. I'm not the body. And finally, try to think about it. As Baba says, you can remember your life since you were 5, right? Since you were 4 years old, maybe. So quickly have a glimpse at your life. You were a kid growing up, and then you were an adolescent, friends. Then maybe you got married, or you studied, or maybe you stayed single. Maybe you had some disastrous relationships that didn't work out. And then in your job, you advanced, you were promoted, or you changed career, maybe, whatever. You studied, and then maybe you studied some postgraduate degree or master's degree or whatever. That's part of your story. So you did, your CV says a lot, but that's not who you are. That's what you did. I am the soul that gave life to that story. And if I go away, that story actually becomes his story. So just be the detached soul in those 3 circumstances. Practice it and practice it and practice it. And then easily, because that's the soul that has a connection with God. And I think we should come back now and go on. So I was speaking, but it was also at the same time you were going through the experience, right? So how are you doing? Enjoying the experience? Anyone like to say anything or put anything in the chat? We can open again. This is the only way we can really make sure that everyone's on board, is to have this sort of interaction. Otherwise it becomes a dull class, me speaking and then
Okay, Ken, but no one has shared their experience except for the questions you wanted them to ask, but so far nobody has shared any experience yet. Okay, that's
so you can start to do that as well,
Okay, yes, Brother Ken, there's one from Brother Peru here. The soul is distinctly different. Good, Brother Ken, the soul is distinctly different. And then we have one more from Sister Shampa, completely new perspective of soul and its story. So they must be enjoying it.
Okay, so a few more. Come on, be quick. Everyone's so
okay. So those okay, this is in Mandarin, and I don't think I can read it.
No,
it's in Mandarin. Okay, a good reminder that costumes are there. We can take them off anytime. And then this is from Pinky. Amazing experience. It seems easy. The experience is amazing, but it seems easy. Wow, you made it easy, Brother Ken. Yes, very enjoyable experiences. Really enjoyed the experience. This is from Chittornon, Thailand, and then from Swati. Really enjoyed the experience of being bodiless. Oh, this fast. Within the commentary given by Brother Ken. And then very beautiful experience from Santosh. And then from Anuradha, love being bodiless. So these are some of that.
Great,
okay.
great. Yeah. Wonderful. Okay, so obviously this is half of the equation, right? I'm the soul. The other one is a connection with Baba. The first and the second lesson of the course, actually they're the beginning of our introductory course, but they are the lessons that we need to learn until the last moment when suddenly something happens and I have to leave the body. So I have to get this part right. I'm the soul, not the body, not the role, not the story, but I have to get the other part right too. And that's really only possible if I recognize Baba. Recognize. To know again. And the word recognize comes from Latin, reconoscere. And to know is conoscere, means to know. And reconoscere is to know again. So I'm knowing Baba again. He's the same one. He's the same one that I was looking for in the path of devotion, the same one I praised, the same one that I felt had abandoned me maybe, the same one who I thought was maybe responsible for what's going on in the world. Even if I were not clear about who I was searching for, I was searching for beauty, I was searching for truth, I was searching for peace. So even without knowing that, Baba is the beautiful one, the true one, and this is connected with Satu Guni and Satu Pradhan. For me, they're synonyms, but Baba is called Satyam Shivam Sundaram. Satyam means the true one. Shiva means the benefactor, and Sundaram means the beautiful one. So Baba is the true one. Baba is the benefactor. We're looking for help. Baba is the source of beauty. And if you think about it, throughout the ages, how much of our art and music and architecture has been dedicated to this love for God, either directly or indirectly. So he's the one that he was the one that I was looking. When I was looking for truth in people, I was looking for God. When I was looking for beauty and surrounding myself with beauty, I was looking for God. When I was looking for benefit, help, to be free from, to be liberated from bondages, I was looking for God. So he's the one. Now, Baba says that this whole essence of tapasya, which means basically it means to burn something in a flame, basically. So I need to know what I have to burn. I'm sure all of us know that there are certain things that we have that we'd like to burn, and maybe we can do an exercise like that towards the end. But Baba says that there's one word that there are a couple of words that Baba uses, and they start with ek, a few words actually. Ekinami means remembering only one and nothing and no one else. That means that all objects and persons are replaced by the image and experience of Baba. So how can I do that? It's not that I have to run away from things, because this is where people get confused. Remember me alone. It's a difficult task. But the only way I can do that is if I start to associate things with jnana, associate things with virtues that ultimately come from God. So remembering only one and no one and nothing else. This is what ekinami is. all persons and all objects that come to mind, somehow or the other, I have to replace them by the image and experience of God. Not easy, but it's possible. I remember once a woman, we were in our Latino retreat in ORC in Delhi every year. Well, we just had last week actually a virtual Latino retreat. There were about 300 people online. But I remember one of the retreats, a woman came to me and told a terrible story about her daughter, how her daughter was always against her since she was young and trying to put the father against her to the extent that the father went away, divorced her, and this daughter did some terrible things so that she was left penniless, the mother. And the daughter was now with the father with all of the possessions, the house, everything. And so she couldn't understand, why did my daughter treat me like that? So every time she remembers the daughter, she is filled with all of this hate, with all of this uncertainty and all of these bad feelings. How could she do that? How could she do that? And of course, when you tell someone like that, remember Baba alone, not easy, right? Not easy. So when she sits down at any free time, who comes to her mind? This is this terrible daughter. Terrible, terrible, terrible. That's what she's convinced herself. And so I told her, look, the only thing you can do is first of all understand that this other one is a soul. This other one is a soul like you. Whatever she's gone through, what's happening between you is obviously some karmic account. It comes from some other birth because there's no reason for it in this birth. So no need to even go into the details of that. But if you start to see that other person as a soul, and furthermore, you start to see that other person as a soul, how Baba sees that soul. How would God see that soul? How much mercy would he have? How much love would he have? So you see what I'm saying is that you can shift from thinking about people to thinking about them with God's presence together. And that way, this thing of that Baba says, nothing and no one else except Baba. You've put Baba into the picture. So you're thinking of the whole situation together with Baba. So Baba's not away from it. And you're not thinking of something outside of it. So I told her, you have to practice this. Every time your daughter comes to your mind, think of her as a soul and think of Baba being together with you. And how would you see that soul? That way you will correct your feelings and you will also be able to remember none but one. As Baba was saying yesterday, we are the nuns who none but one. So let's do that one. Let's try that one. Let's try that experience. And before going to the experience, there's one other thing I'd like to say. There's quite a few words with ek. Ek means one. The other one is ekagrata, which is translated as the word concentration. But literally it means to stabilize the mind and the intellect in one point. It means a state of uninterrupted attention. This is what concentration is. And this is so, in the same way, I don't need to make efforts to become a soul. I am a soul. I don't have to make efforts to create a Baba because Baba exists. I don't have to produce him with my thinking. I have to meet him. So I don't have to visualize, try to imagine, because Baba already exists. So let's say I've got this cup of water on the table in front of me, right? I don't have to produce the cup. I just have to have tension on it. So Baba's like this cup. Baba's in front of me already. I don't need to produce him. He's there. I just have to see him. Actually, I have to recognize him. And what is Baba? Baba is this source of beauty, truth, and benefit. Satyam Shivam Sundaram. And I'm seeing him in front of me. Don't need to produce him. He exists the same as I exist. I just have to see and appreciate Baba. So let's do that. Short experience. Again, sitting nicely, aware of the moment, going inside and remembering that you are the soul. At this moment, try to think of someone with whom you have some sort of a difficulty that you haven't sorted out. I'm sure that most of us have at least someone. Either there is too much attachment, either there is too much, bickering and, squabbling. There's too much attention, maybe. The relationship is not perfect. And I'm sure that it's not easy, not difficult to find someone with whom your relationship is not perfect. So think of someone. And remember what you normally think when that person comes to mind. Does it come with worry? Does it come with concern? Does it come with, extra love or preference, as Jenti Ben was saying? How does it come? Now, don't run away from thinking of that person. Just introduce Baba into the thinking. So together with Baba, I'm sitting there, that person comes to mind, and I'm first of all asking myself, what does Gyan tell me about this relationship? What has Baba said that helps me to understand the nature of this relationship? So I'm putting Baba's Gyan between me and the other person. I'm not running away from them. I'm just seeing them with the third eye. Secondly, I ask Baba, how do you see this individual? What's your feeling about this individual? And of course, you get the sensation that it's just mercy, right? It's just love, the ocean of love. So I start to feel a little bit like that. I start to see the individual with that love and mercy from Baba. And the third question, what does Srimad tell me to be? What does Srimad tell me about my behavior towards this individual? I have to be loving and detached. That's Srimad. I have to be forgiving and generous. I have to be gracious and royal. And more than anything, I have to be pure. So I'm not running away. I'm changing the way I see and feel with Baba's help. So that means to remember Baba and no one else. if I put something on the end of that phrase, remember that Baba is the source of peace, love, and happiness, and no one else. It makes it easier. So let's again come back to the flow here, a short experience, and then back again to the flow. Anything come up in between, Baiji?
There's quite a lot actually, but basically some of them are about experience, some about their own personal perspective, like
So read a couple of them at least.
Okay. I'll read from the recent one, yeah. Om Shanti. During my sleep meditate routine, while I was in a deep meditation state, I could feel my soul try to levitate out of my physical body. But as soon as I realize it is happening, I can feel the soul immediately return back to my body. Can you please explain why this is happening? Thank you. Om Shanti.
I think there's a question that we have to.
Yeah, I think so. Okay.
No,
I think there is not much of question. There's not much of explanation, experience here yet. Okay, there's one reason.
I can say something.
Okay.
What happens is that we are becoming, we've got our eyes open and we're sitting in our bodies, and at the same time, we are becoming subtle. So we have to become used to what that subtle experience is. It's as if, I'm not so dense and so heavy. My sense of bodily weight changes. So I have the body, but I'm not aware of it. And if you have a really deep meditation, you also change your hunger patterns as well. So that sense of, some people have optical illusions. They start to see lights that are not there, but it's because we are becoming subtle while we have our eyes open and while we're in the body. So it takes a bit of getting used to, and that may happen, like you said, but it's not that you're levitating. It's just that the soul is becoming light. The body is still the same weight as it was before, but the soul is having less, is less imprisoned by the body. That's what I'd like to say. Anything else?
I think I have to remind them that this is also, we want to get your experience, your feedback on experience. So most of it we are getting is question, but what about your experience? If you can share, then we can later on, when we have time, we can look into the questions. So if at all you can share. Okay, that is from Brother Shefali Madhu, loving the class, brother. Okay, there's another one more. Om Shanti, excellent realization of how one can deal with difficult realizations, feeling and sensing, as God would be dealing if I were in him, or maybe with him. I understood how to be and how to feel now. So that's probably one of that, yeah. So far, that's all. But this is a question. Maybe later on you can mention that. How do you?
There probably won't be later on, but I just got one little other experience to finish off with, and then maybe there's time for a couple of questions.
Okay, all right.
Because we've only got 12 minutes more. If you want to prepare yourself to have an experience of deep tapasya, there's a few things that you can do. And I remember once Daddy Guzar, in a meeting with the regional coordinators, she asked us what was our latest, for each of our senior sisters, Genti Ben, Mohini Ben, and so on, and some of us brothers as well, Didi Nirmala, Charlie. And the Daddy Guzar asked us what was our present effort to change sanskars. And everyone shared, and I shared that my latest was that I was aware that I have these sanskars of perfection in me, and I was bringing them up to the surface and and becoming perfect for 5 minutes, let's say, or 10 minutes, even maybe half an hour sometimes, that I was just being played upon by my perfect sanskars, which are in us, all of us. And she said that that's not enough. You have to be aware of those sanskars also, which bring you away from perfection. So the impurities. And you have to be very, very honest about them. So tapasya also means it's not just loving remembrance. It means that I'm burning something as well. Actually, it means that I'm burning sins, even that I'm not aware of which sins are being burned. But let's say I have some blockage, right? And all of us do have one or the other, or there's some burden there that we may not be aware of. So I keep in mind, just if you can think about it, I keep in mind what I'd like to burn in terms of some old nature or old sanskar. Okay, first step. Have you identified something you'd like to burn? Like to get rid of? So with that, second step. So I'm the soul already, don't have to make efforts to be the soul. I'm aware that there's something that I'd like to hand over to Baba. Something maybe I'd like to understand about myself, my situation. So the second step, I invoke Baba's presence. And then when I say that, it's a subtle presence. So I'm in front of Aviyak Bapdada. I don't need to see anyone. I don't have to see the ghostly form of Brahma Baba. But I have to feel that presence. Baba is with me. And I've come, Baba, to have a sincere and heartfelt conversation with you about this particular transformation. So I'm in front of Baba, feeling that presence, feeling that love, feeling that comfort. And I remove everything from my intellect related to that sanskar. I've come to give it, right? So I'm not thinking about its implications. I become free from this thing that I came to talk to Baba about. So in silence, I share. It's just a minute or so. We can say what we need to say, each one of us, to Baba in silence, and gradually become free from thinking about it. So let's try that one in silence. So I'm feeling very close to Baba, free. And I now see Shiv Baba, incorporeal Baba. I'm in the subtle state and I'm seeing in the distance this incorporeal Shiv Baba. And I fly mentally and immerse myself in that ocean of love and power. And as I go towards that incorporeal state, I become thoughtless, just pure experience. and some purification happens automatically. So let's do that again, obviously in silence and not thinking, just pure experience. I don't have to think about peace. I am peace. I'm like Baba. So with those experiences sort of record that some purification has happened, I go back to the subtle state. Again, I'm in front of Bapdada and I share. How was it? I share with Baba. Because this heart-to-heart conversation does not happen in the soul world. It happens in the subtle state. So I share heart-to-heart. Get Baba's blessings. Get Baba's happy that I'm interested in doing this level of effort, that I need to practice again and again and again. So taking Baba's drishti and blessings, I come back to the physical world. So, everyone okay? Yeah.
Shanti Bhai, there is a few sharing. I'll read that out before the questions. Becoming light and light. So that's the experience. Brother Mukesh, I think it's from Singapore. Becoming light and light. I could see the process of dealing with someone stuck in my mind. I understand now and can forgive the soul I brought in from this practice. So they may have experimented and there's some success there. Amazing session, brother. This is from Sister Nirja. And I have already started to put Baba's image to everything around. So that's another person. And able to work on self-respect. There's also one message here, able to work on self-respect. So this is basically all about the experience that they have.
That's good. That's best.
Yeah, I think so. Asking Baba, what do you feel about this soul? That is good. Asking Baba itself make them feel good about it. Okay, so these are the experiences. Can buy. I don't think we have time for question and answer, I guess.
No, we were doing questions and answers throughout the whole thing.
Already, yeah, I think so. I think so. Okay, thank you so much, Ken Bai. This is really, really a wonderful sharing. And especially, I think one thing I personally took it from you is that you make it everything simple. I thought tapasya and burning is something like some process or something serious. But you just say, go and meet them, and then go to the soul world, meet Baba, and that's it. So I really took a lot of benefit, and I'm sure all the participants would have taken benefit. It's traffic control, so we can conclude with that. With your drishti, right?
Okay, sure.
Thank you and Om Shanti.
जब ऐसा प्रिय जीवन होगा यहाँ हमारा तन होगा वहाँ हमारा मन होगा जहाँ होता है मानव का धन वही होता है उसका मन इसलिए परमात्मा ने बताया मुझसे लगा लो अपना मन हम सा नहीं कोई जमाने में रचना रचता का ज्ञान जिसे पर ऐसा भी बनना होगा नहीं कभी अभिमान जिसे यहाँ हमारा तन होगा वहाँ हमारा मन होगा ये दुनिया तो मायावी है माया से भला कैसी यारी अपने तो दो ही ठिकाने हैं वैकुंठ दुनिया निराकारी धुंधला सा अंधियारा है दीपक से उजियारा होगा ये आँख भी तन का दीपक है ये ज्ञान जीवन दीपक होगा यहाँ हमारा तन होगा वहाँ हमारा मन होगा हर शिव की याद रहेगी तब आँखों में समाया वो होगा हम धन्य तभी बन पाएंगे जब ऐसा प्रिय जीवन होगा यहाँ हमारा तन होगा हमारा मन होगा
So, Om Shanti.